Hey guys! So, this might seem a little weird, a little out of the ordinary. As I said in, I believe, my 2016 AMA. Yeah, it was my 2016, because this is 2017. I'm an idiot. Or 2017 AMA. Whatever year this is, because I'm being an idiot right now. And I'm nervous. This is my first time doing this. I wanted to do a book club, book talk podcast sort of thing. Right now, we're just on YouTube because this is our first time ever doing this, and I keep saying "our" because I'm here with my buddy Val 4S. Say hi, Val.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
And we're both book nuts. We also both have financial
Yes.
problems, though, so I can't promise that we're gonna do one of these every month. Hopefully, in the future, when our finances change, we can do one of these once a month. But we're gonna try to do these as often as we can, and just do mini book reviews and just talking about books and being dumbasses. Also, I should explain we're going to do chunks. So the first chunk is going to be a spoiler-free review of the story we have read this month. And I should also point out the lovely thumbnail artwork that you're seeing right now, and the art that's just going to be for the rest of the video, was sketched up by the amazing Val and colored by me. And our next book will be sketched by me and colored by Val. So that'll be on
Yes.
her channel whenever we get the next book picked, which we don't have yet. And we also don't, at the time of recording this, have a name for the podcast. We'll have a name when the video actually goes up. So we'll say the name of the podcast in the future videos. So hopefully you guys can bear with us. We're both kind of nervous here. And I should also explain that my fiance currently has people over. So if you hear things in the background of either of ours, we both kind of don't live in the quietest areas. So, yeah.
Yeah. Same on my side, but you guys probably won't tell
So
where it came from.
Val, what book did we read for our first ever podcast book club thing?
Yeah, it was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I hope I'm saying her
Yay!
name right. I'm sorry.
I think it's Mass or Moss. I know that
Maas. Yeah.
her name gets butchered a lot, and I feel bad.
Mm. It's okay. I get it though.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, the book it was Michi's choice,
Yeah, this one was my
and
choice, and
yeah,
our next book will be Val's choice again. Whenever we can figure out what we're doing next.
yep.
So yeah, we're gonna switch off what books we read and what we're doing. We also we both like a wide range of books, so we should. You're
Oh
not
yeah.
going. You won't expect. Don't expect just YA, because I know that Sarah J. Maas is a very big YA author. We like YA, but we also read other books.
Yeah.
And I should also explain, if I didn't already say it again, and I'm repeating myself. We tend to curse and swear and stuff, so even in the spoiler-free review, it's probably not going to be like, G rating. I'm from America, so we use a G rating. I don't know what you guys have for the rating system for kids in Canada, Val.
In Canada?
What do you guys
Oh,
have?
well, it's like if there are swearing, like just slightly, sometimes it's gonna be general or PG-13, I guess.
Okay, well, no, I
But
mean, like,
like,
for, like, kids to watch it, what would it be for, like, kids? Like, kids listening. Like a kid show, like SpongeBob or something.
oh,
If you don't know, it's fine.
I'm actually not sure.
Okay, well, we're already rambling. See, we're nervous. This
Yep.
is, like I said, this is
Anyways,
new. So let's get back to the book talk. So,
yeah. Oh,
I,
and
for,
fair warning, I'm a French Canadian, so sometimes my words will not seem right.
yeah, Val's a
But
French
anyways,
Canadian, and I'm from the United States, so if, like, that, I don't know if that bothers
cool.
somebody. I just, whatever, okay. Uh,
Anyways, should we start by saying like how many stars out of 5 we gave the book? Because I know
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
on
Let's do that.
Goodreads.
Let's do that. But in the future, though, I do want to make another rating because I don't like star ratings. I
Hmm.
think it's good for right now because this is our first time doing it. But I think
Yeah,
we should have like maybe you and I can create our own little like guide
sure.
thing. Because I know some people because I watch a lot of movie reviewers and I know we're already rambling. We're already rambling, guys. This is going to be a semi-long podcast, so I hope you enjoy just us rambling. They actually say to stay away from stars. That's why if you also notice like Rotten Tomatoes uses percentages and stuff because a lot
Hmm.
of people will be like, "Oh, why didn't you give this 5 stars? It's so worth 5 stars." It's like, "Oh, well, it could be worth 5 stars to you." So I'll see them like use like a letter grade or have like categories. So maybe we'll think of like
Yeah,
categories for like
categories should be good.
but for
Like,
right, yeah, but again, for right now, we'll do stars because this is again our first time doing it.
mhm.
And so yeah, so Val, since it was your idea, you go first. What
Yeah,
how out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
out of 5, I gave it a 4. Um, Mostly because, like, it
Remember,
wasn't the
we can't spoil
best.
yet.
Yeah, it wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but it was good enough that I want to read the whole series, and I will probably read it again in a few months because that's what I do. When I like a book, I read it again.
Oh, okay. So
So yeah,
that's okay. So that's very good. I'm actually gonna give it 3.5 stars.
okay,
And the reason is I really enjoyed it. I do want to know more of where the series goes, but I feel for me personally, the reread factor isn't that high.
okay,
And I'll explain a little later. It won't really be a spoiler, but when we actually get to like the synopsis of the book or whatever, I'll explain like once after we get to that point. So that's
sure.
how I feel. I enjoyed it. I'm not saying that like don't buy it. It's just okay. This is something I do feel I should say. This is not a book for new readers. If you're a new reader, not like a little kid, like let's just say you're like an adult who's like recently gotten into reading, I would not suggest this book.
No, and I think also it's geared towards teenagers and young adults.
Yeah, it's actually
I think.
considered. It's yeah, that's why I said it's YA. It's young adult.
Yep.
It's for like I'll say, if I was a parent, I'd say 16 and up. But I know some 10-year-olds who are reading like Game of Thrones and shit. So like it
Okay.
depends on the parent. But if I was a parent, I would be like 16 and up to read this
Yeah,
series.
probably because there is actual violence.
Yeah,
There is
there's
romance.
violence. There's violence. There's derogatory marks. There's like I'm trying to think of like the sophisticated way to say it, like there's swearing.
This,
There's
yeah, and
there's
there's
that.
a little bit of political stuff that
Okay,
I
I think
think
we should
smaller.
explain though that the political it's not our world. We should probably explain that first. It's not
Yeah.
like political now, like in Earth. This takes place in their own world. That's another
Hmm.
thing. If you're not used to very that's something I like about Sarah J. Maas is if you're not used to very detailed world building, you're probably not gonna like this book. If you like stuff like Shadowhunters or Supernatural or all those books that take place in our world, even Interview with a Vampire, where it's Earth, I feel like that's another thing. If you're like, oh, 'cause I don't know the actual name for that. I don't want to say fantasy, even though this is technically a fantasy, but yeah.
Well, it is.
I know it's a
I
fantasy,
don't
but I'm
know.
saying I
I don't
can't
know if
think of.
there's a word
I think.
for that kind of story
Hmm.
telling. I mean, like that's what I like to do with my own stories and stuff. I build up a world, so I
No,
kind of get how it is.
yeah.
But for some people who likes to have stuff like in the real world, you could compare it to DC and Marvel at some level because
Yeah, okay,
DC,
that's a better example. Yeah,
yeah,
if this is like.
Marvel tends to work within the Earth as we know it,
Mhm.
I guess, and DC is the opposite. They create cities
Yeah,
that
they
doesn't
create cities,
exist,
they
and
create states.
yeah,
Yeah. That is a much better example, Val. So that's what
hmm,
I'm the same way. Like my stories all take place on their own worlds.
yeah,
So
me
that's
too.
something like we're used to, but I know there are a lot of people who don't like that. Like they love fantasy stories, but they do not like where it's like where you have to learn a new world.
Yeah, and that specific world is set in within some kind of medieval era, I guess. Because
I wouldn't say medieval as much as I would say because they have clocks. Remember, they have
yeah,
clocks. So I mean, like clocks have been around a long ass time, but I wouldn't say medieval. I'd say more pre-gun, but like because I
uh
sound like a fucking idiot because I don't know
oh
the
yeah,
actual time,
no
but
no, I get it.
it's like pre-gun kind of industrial fantasy, I guess. So like there aren't guns, there aren't cars, but they have clocks and machinery and stuff. So
And they work with glass a lot.
oh yeah, it's called Throne of Glass. So there's that. Okay, Val, why don't you give us the synopsis of the book, a spoiler-free synopsis of the story,
Okay.
since you have the wiki page, because I'm an
Yeah,
idiot.
okay. So well, I was going to read that. So Throne of Glass is a young adult high fantasy novel series by American author Sarah J. Maas, as I said, beginning with the inaugural entry of the same name, whatever that means.
It's a series. It's
Yeah,
gonna be it's a series. It's like Harry Potter.
yeah, and I think there are 5 books as
Uh,
of now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. I think there's 5.
The story follows the journey of Selena Sardothian, if I'm pronouncing that right, a teenage assassin in a corrupted kingdom with a tyrannical ruler.
Okay, I feel like we should point one thing out. I know. Okay, this
Yep.
is not to interrupt you like that,
No,
but
no, no,
they
that's
say
fine.
teenager. They say teenager, but she
Yeah.
is canonically like 18. So I don't technically consider a teenager, but I guess to some people they will. Like whenever they say teenager, a lot of people think like Katniss, like 16, 15.
Yeah.
So Selena is like
At the
almost,
end of her teens.
yeah, at the end of her teens. So,
Like 18, where I'm from, you can drink legally. So.
oh, see, in America you get to be 21. So oh, welcome to
Anywho,
Canada. Okay, so keep going. Keep going.
yeah. So, as the tale progresses, Selena forms unexpected bonds and uncovers a conspiracy amidst their adventures. The series has it is a New York Times bestseller.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
It was in 2012 when it came out. Yep. And it says here that it has been optioned for a TV series by Mark Gordon and will premiere on Hulu.
Oh, it's gonna be.
They
on
don't
Hulu?
say. They don't say when.
I knew it was gonna be a show. That's why I really wanted. That's why I picked Throne of Glass for our first book, was because I realized, holy shit! I follow Sarah J. Maas because I am actually. It's funny. People probably won't believe this when I get through my reviews. But I am actually a very big Sarah J. Maas fan, but I like her ACOTAR series more. Alright, guys, sorry for a weird cut there. My fiance burst in, like I was saying, so we don't remember actually where we kind of left off, but Val is gonna try to keep going where we are, so take it away, Val, again. Hopefully we don't get interrupted.
Okay. So, aside from the synopsis, there's something that the author wrote at the end of the book that explained a little bit how she was inspired to write that book. And
by that
she
book,
started,
she means Throne of Glass.
started writing that when she was in high school. It took her 10 years to finish it. But
wait, it took her 10 years to finish Throne of Glass or to finish the series?
No, the first one, the first book, so Throne of Glass.
Okay.
After that, she was like, she had finished school, so she could concentrate on that, and they would come out a lot faster. But yeah,
that makes a lot of sense because she puts out a book like a year.
Yeah.
And this year she put out 2.
Oh. Well, she seems a fast writer, but like when she started creating the characters and the story and stuff, like she was in high school, and it took her a long time to write the whole thing. Anyways, what she was thinking, she was one day listening to the soundtrack to Cinderella, and
the play or the actual Disney movie?
I think it was the play,
because I know she likes a lot of plays. Like she goes to the ballet and plays all the time.
She doesn't specify it, but I'm pretty sure it's the play because she's talking about the part where Cinderella has to flee the castle after the dance with the prince.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, okay, that part is way too dark and intense, so what if Cinderella wasn't there to marry the prince or whatever? What if she was there to kill the prince? What if someone asked her to kill the prince? What if she was an assassin? And that's how she started it.
Oh, so that's how Selena came to be. Okay.
Yeah, because she used to write her story on fictionpress.com.
Mm-hmm.
And like she would talk about that, and I think she had a pretty strong fan base over there too. So that's how she started to create her world and write her characters and stuff. So I think it's pretty nice to know where it came from, like how it started.
No, that is really cool. So that's something we should probably do in the future. Again, I hope this is like, you guys aren't annoyed with this. Again, this is our first time ever doing anything like this. We have never done a podcast sort of thing. And since Val lives in Canada and I live in California, we can't exactly just go to one of our houses and just kind of hang out and do a recording. So, again, this is our first time, so our next one will be more thought out and a lot more, like, streamlined.
And if you guys have any suggestion as to what we should talk about when we're reviewing a book.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, if you guys want to hear, well,
Yeah.
after we get to like our spoiler section, if there's anything you guys want us to touch on, we'll make sure we will definitely look at the comments and take notes for the future. Because we love you guys. We love all you babies.
All right.
Is there more to the synopsis, or is that...
No, that's pretty much it. It doesn't explain a lot of what's going on in the book. Actually, it just says that.
I think that's good though, because there's a lot that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the synopsis, and we already gave our ratings, so I feel like this is a good part to end our spoiler-free review chunk of it. It's already currently like 17 minutes that I haven't edited out that little cut. So we're now going to go into spoiler territory, and we're going to also point out things that we really enjoyed with the book, things that we did not enjoy with the book, and some theories for the future. So, Val, do you want me to go first for my what I liked? Or should we do... Okay, what do you think? Should we do what we liked first, or what we didn't like first?
Okay, I'll go first. The thing that I like...
You should point out though, what we're doing. Is it like what you liked first?
So I'm going to say like one of the... I don't know if I want to say bad thing, but something that irked me a little bit.
So it's a pet peeve.
Yeah. The fact that Selena is described as a very badass assassin, that she's like no emotion and stuff. That's her. That's how people see her.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like when you encounter the character and you see how she interacts with people, like it seems like she's trying to convince herself that she's that very badass assassin and stuff. But sometimes she, like, the way she acts and the way she thinks, it seems almost a little bit too, like,
on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like this is like something that Sarah J. Maas does. I noticed this more in... I should point out, I'm also probably going to bring up some spoilers for ACOTAR. I'm actually rereading that, so that will be a video on my channel where I'll talk about that, but I'm also going to do a spoiler review in that video, so...
Okay.
Spoiler for A Court of Thorns and Roses, because it's also written by Sarah J. Maas. Since Throne of Glass is Sarah J. Maas's first ever... This is also her first published book. Not only is it the first book she's ever read, it's the first published book she's ever read, and the fact that it's a big series. I mean, to a lot of people, it might be like 5 books so far. That doesn't sound that big. Dark Tower has like 13 or something like that. I think it's Dark Tower. I'm not sure. Sorry, I haven't read Dark Tower. I love Stephen King, but I haven't read it.
Me neither.
But, you know, for a first publication, that's a big, like, steak to chew.
Yeah.
You know, for like a big book series.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like she had a lot of balls doing that, like, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll have like a little, maybe like a 2-part book, like a 2-part series book, or a trilogy, because trilogies are really hot right now. Sarah J. Maas didn't want that. I feel like, because she semi-recently came out with like a prequel book called The Assassin's Blade, which takes place before Selena's kidnapped. So I feel like maybe if we read that, she wouldn't have had to force feed that she's the assassin. Because they really hype... I feel like that is one thing that kind of irked me, is they really hype up that she's Otterlin's assassin, but she doesn't really kill anybody. Like, I get why, but I mean, it still feels...
And they say that she's an assassin and she's gonna kill everybody. Okay, I get it for, like... Let's say I'm nobody who's living in that place, and I hear the name, and I hear the whole story, and I go, okay, well, if I see that person, I'm probably gonna shit my pants. But like, when people interact with her and they learn that she's that assassin,
they're not scared.
They're not scared.
Yeah, they're not scared. Like, they're not intimidated. They're just more like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, that might be like...
I can get that someone's reputation would explode because, you know, people talk, and you've got perfect example in the news today, like misinformation and stuff, and people say stuff and they extrapolate, but like she acts like she did all those things. So that's where I'm like a little bit, I don't know. Because she could be a very sweet girl. She curses a lot and she acts like a man sometimes.
Yeah.
But she's not deadly.
Yeah,
She doesn't want to kill stuff.
Yeah, she's not a killer, and I'm sure some people will argue that, oh, well, she was a slave in the
Yeah,
Endovier mines for like over a year. But I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I don't
she
know.
could have
And there were
been.
just
She
there
could
were
have been a
certain,
little bit more broken about it.
yeah, she could have been a little bit more broken about it, or I feel like, again, people must be like, wow, you guys gave it such high reviews and you're shitting on it. I feel like this is good. I feel like we should get the negative stuff out of the way so we can
Yeah,
explain. I also feel probably a little, well, I mean, it shouldn't be a preface because we're already fucking talking about it, but I'm a person where there are things I love. I love, but I can find the faults in it, and I'm okay picking them out. I'm not one of those people that, like, looks for negativity, but they kind of beat you over the head with the fact that she's this, we can't trust her, she's this big killer, we can't trust her, she's done all these things, and I'm kind of
yeah.
like, I don't
Like
see her doing these things, and, like, they
like
kind of,
Kale always thinking that she's gonna backstab everyone. Okay, at
yeah.
some point you do get the. I mean, it's obvious he's lying to himself because he likes her.
Yeah, he likes it.
It's
Okay, that's
obvious.
okay. That's something else I should probably point out, that this is actually kind of a positive thing for me. There's no love triangle. You would think, going into this book, the way it's written, there's a love triangle,
Yeah.
but at the end, because we're doing spoilers, she ends up not being with anybody. Like,
Yep.
she kind of has a thing with one character who we'll talk about later, because we both fucking love him. He's fucking hilarious. But
Is.
she, that's something I was very happy to see at the end, where they weren't trying to be like, well, we just gotta be secret lovers, and, we're gonna have to, like, fuck in
Oh,
my dad's basement or something.
never
No,
as well.
she was like, listen, I am now this thing, you are this thing, it's not gonna work out, but I want to stay friends. And you can tell he's sad about it,
Yeah.
but he understands.
I was so relieved when that played out because
Same.
I was I was thinking about what the king was thinking. Let's say who we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's Dorian.
It's the one
son.
it's the one I'm dressed up as because I called him first.
Yeah.
My hair is not that short.
At the end, the king is thinking about sending his son into the front lines so that he can man up. And I was like, oh my gosh. So he's going to send them away and they're going to end up together, but they won't be able to be together because it's going to be away while she's the champion and stuff.
Okay.
But it didn't turn out like that, so
yeah, it didn't
I was
turn out
kind
like
of
that,
early.
and I'm happy. Another thing, too, is I felt like this fell under the Hunger Games trope, and this is really going to piss a lot of people off. They were talking about there's this competition kind of thing where they get, like, the low lives of the world, or country? Is it country, like the world? It seemed like all over.
Well, it's whoever they wanted to pick.
Yeah, but they were like scummy people. They were thieves, murderers, assassins.
Well, I don't think that it was thought like that, because at the beginning they would just go get someone who could be the champion, but people who are bad and do bad stuff.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, so we should probably explain.
Hold on.
Yeah.
One of the guys, the Kane, he was from it was bad, but he was part of.
We should probably talk about Kane towards the end because he's actually really important. Well, he is.
Right.
So that's why I'm not trying to cause I feel like we can talk about Kane for a long chunk of it. So I feel like we should probably again, like I said, guys. Sorry, this is our first time doing this, so hopefully it's not. I know I probably apologize like 9 times. Okay. Anyway, we should explain the point of why they're doing this competition and why they want to be the champion. Is pretty much you're given a clean slate. You become the king's bitch for like 4 years, and then you're free. Yep. You're free. You get a chunk of money, and your name is cleared, and you can pretty much literally start off fresh. So Selena,
and whoever picked you as a future champion would win money because it's a competition between the.
It's very gladiator-esque. It's people picking out champions of higher class. Well, the higher class are picking out champions and watching this thing go on. Something else I did like was this took place over a long period of time.
Yes.
Because in a lot of books, it's one of my negatives of the Hunger Games. Again, it made sense because they had to fucking kill each other for sport. But it bothered me that it was like less than a week. The Hunger Games itself was like 3 days or something. It's been a while since I've read it. But I was like, I get it. Some books are meant to be read like it's one time period. But I really liked that this had more growth to it. It had the ability to You know, you actually
Yeah.
felt time pass. You actually had people fucking heal after their events. And they didn't... technically, they weren't supposed to kill each other till the end.
Well,
Technically.
they didn't really say anything about it. The
Well, like, but I mean, for the challenges, they weren't supposed to
yeah, the
kill each other, and they
challenges
weren't
were
supposed to
like,
die.
okay. The challenges were like pretty simple, like, okay, show us if you can use a bow and arrow, show us if you can throw some knives, show us if you can scale a wall.
Show us if you can tell which poison is the least poisonous and which one's the most
Yeah,
poisonous.
stuff like that.
But that was the thing I liked. I liked that
Yeah.
the competition wasn't just a gladiator fight to the death, because at the end that's what it was. It pretty much was a gladiator fight to the death at the end. But the thing was too is if you failed a challenge, you went back to jail or back to your person. Like you weren't like killed. You weren't. I kind of like that. So I mean, well, the people who lived, because there's actually a murder mystery in this story as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is one negative I will say. I felt like there was too much going on. Like there was. I understand towards the end it made sense, but I still felt like that was a lot to kind of remember. It was like, oh yeah, there's the championship, there's the tournament thing, then there's these murders, then there's the courts, then there's pretending she's somebody else to get busybody with, what's her name?
What's her name?
What's her name? Oh my god.
It's
what's on my tongue. What's her name? You're on the wiki.
Yeah, but it don't.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get a spoiler.
Talk about her.
Oh shit. Okay, well this princess
Holy
shows
crap.
the character. We're probably gonna think of her name. Nehemia. Okay. I was a fucking idiot.
I thought you were talking about that.
Oh, Kaltane? No,
that
fuck
bitch
Kaltane.
That's always.
No, fuck Kaltane. We'll talk about her in a bit.
Yeah, her.
Fuck her. No. She's something I didn't
she's
like.
gone.
She's something I didn't like about the book. She's the jealous court lady that I've read in like 1,000 books.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
She was manipulated to be that way.
So
was she really that much of an asshole before the whole thing?
I think so, because she didn't always have the migraines. Because remember, they were like forcing the thoughts into her head. But in the beginning, that's kind of why I don't like the jealous. I would feel different if she and Dorian actually like fucked or something, which they never did, because then I'd feel like there was some resonance there. But I've read that. I've read that in a lot of books.
They barely interact with each other,
and he doesn't like her. He doesn't like her from the beginning.
How is she thinking that she's gonna end up in his pants?
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
Because that's the thing that bothered me is I've read a lot of books where at least if they had a past, I was like giving it a pass. I'm like, okay, they were together, maybe they courted, they might not have had sex, or maybe they were like childhood friends. I could see that. But she was literally a court girl that Dorian showed no interest in, and everybody knew he showed no interest in her. But she had it in her head like, oh, he's gonna love me, and marry me, and I'm gonna be queen, and oh my god, who's this Liliana bitch? Nah, son, he my man, even though he don't know my name. Like, no, I really did not like her. And that's one of the things I was talking about, was she was something that was kind of I felt like it was thrown in. Maybe she shows up in the later books as, like, an actual important person, because, at the end, they kind of foreshadowed that.
Yeah, they kind of hint on that, but I'm not sure, because, okay, I don't know if I spoiled myself on that part, but I don't really mind.
On the wiki?
No, but on the Wikipedia page, they don't mention her at all. You have to go on the actual novel
the actual character page? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she dies and we're fine. And she just dies in that jail. Yeah. I know, we probably sound so mean, but I felt like she was just such a useless character.
Yeah.
Except she was literally made for the spurred lover that was never a lover kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
what's his face? The guy that she's supposed to marry, but she doesn't want to touch.
It was the old guy. I forget his name. He was another character where he was like, he seemed important, but they didn't really mention him much besides...
it's Duke Parrington.
That was it, Duke Parrington, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And she's addicted to opium because she has frequent headaches.
And the headaches aren't natural headaches.
No.
Okay, that's another thing I feel I should probably bring up. It's a high fantasy. Fantasy don't happen till the end of the book. So don't go into this expecting Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, there's this small part when she discovers that secret passageway in her room.
But that's towards the end of the book. That's
Is
like
it?
not. It's not even in the middle. It's like way after the middle. I remember
I
because
don't.
that was kind of when I got interested. I said, okay, this sounds really bad. This is another negative. It's a Sarah J. Maas book, and people are gonna be like, "What the fuck does that mean?" A lot of her first books have fluff, and I don't want to call it fluff in this one because it's such a bigger series. But I'll use Akatar as an example because I'm recently rereading it. It takes a good 3-4 chapters before the actual plot of the book starts.
Okay.
Like something happens in Akatar that kickstarts it, and then it's not touched again until the plot of the book happens. And so I'm like, why did we need this fluff? This fluff was not needed, except to realize that these certain characters are assholes.
Oh.
And so that's something I
Or
feel.
is the fluff there to explain how the world is? I don't know.
Kind of, but I feel like it could have been explained a lot. I like believing in the show don't tell sort of thing in stories, especially with world like original world books. There was one I read last year. I think it was called Warbringer or Thunderbringer. I can't remember. It's a really good book, but it's a whole new world, whole new original world, and you're just kind of thrown into it of characters who've already lived in it and already know everything that's going on. And it felt more real because when they're talking about histories, it felt like real people talking about histories. Well, in this story,
Okay.
it did make sense because she was kind of. Well, actually, no, wait, what am I thinking? It doesn't make sense. She's an assassin, and they talk about how smart she is and how much she reads. Never mind. It doesn't make sense. Never mind. Forget that comment. But
It's okay. Well,
there's a lot of that of like they kind of like set up world building, and instead of just there's a lot of stuff in it in the beginning of Akatar where they talk about how like, oh, well, this thing is because this thing, and this thing is because this thing, and it literally could have been summed up in these people are nuts and worship Fae. That's all they had to say, and it would have made sense coming from the character speaking it at the time to solve it in
yeah,
one
and
sentence.
at some point you can like maybe talk about it more.
Mm-hmm.
But like you don't need to explain everything at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm
There is one
I'm
thing
with
I
you.
like. There was one little piece that she added in the beginning of Akatar that happened in the second book. But again, that little important thing was mentioned in a fucking sentence and then was brought back up later. So I was like, okay, so see, that's important, but I'm not seeing how a lot of things are important. And I'm hoping, because I do want to read more of this series, but would I reread Throne of Glass? Probably, but no time soon. Like, it would be a book I would reread in like a couple years.
Oh,
That's
I'm
for
on
me.
the
That's for me.
well, okay. The thing is, I started reading when I first got my Kindle. Well, my
Mm-hmm.
first Kindle actually, and that was 4 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I started buying books at that time, and I would buy books that I had already read, like
Fucking
Harry
bird!
Potter. Like,
No, that's a
well,
really
I
loud
wasn't
bird coming
okay.
through the
I'm not
door.
adventurous. I don't trust books, although I know that I love reading. So that's how I discovered a Vampire Academy, Succubus, and I don't know if I talked about the other ones. It's Atlantis Gene or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
think
I
I know
read
about that
all
one.
Anne Rice's books.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, no, no.
I
I
stayed
understand.
within
I
I stayed
understand.
within a comfortable zone. But I think that by reading books with you, I can, you
Explore.
know, yeah, explore. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm the same way. Also, I'm one of those people. Let's be real. I'm gonna be honest. You're probably not gonna get a podcast from anything under like 3 stars because I'm the kind of person. If the book's shit, I'm not gonna read it.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
if
me
I'm
too.
really not liking it, I'm not gonna read it. So just be prepared. These are books we either enjoyed or they were like guilty pleasures. I totally think we should do a guilty pleasure one later on
Oh yeah.
because there are some books that it's like you know
I,
they're bad, but they're just so much fun to read that you're like, I know this is bad, but I
okay,
just love it.
my favorite shitty book is Twilight.
Oh my god.
And it's so
Okay.
shitty. Okay, every time I reread it.
Okay. So you
Hold
talking
on.
about
Hold on. Let me quick. Every time I
quick tangent to
reread
Twilight.
it, yeah, every time I reread it, I'm like, okay, this is bad. This is bad. But I go back to it every time. I'd say once every 2 years, and I reread it because
Oh no,
I
that's
don't know.
fine. Okay, so that's really funny that you say that. So one of my guilty pleasures is fuck. I like, don't want to say it because I don't want to insult the author who wrote it. I'll just say
Oh
it like this.
God!
Okay, I'll just say it like this. I'll say it like this. It's a vampire literotica that's written so bad that I don't think this person knows how sex works. That's why I don't want to say what the name is because I don't want to insult the author. But they have like a whole series of like these mythical like literotica stories, and people be like, "What the fuck? You listen to literotica and you don't or you read literotica? You don't understand." Like, I love reading bad literotica because it's fucking hilarious. Like, I'm trying to think of an example without kind of giving it
You have
away.
to tell me what that is
I
because
will,
now
I
I
will,
want
but
to read
it's
it.
so bad, and it's one of those Kindle author books. I'm not trying to shit on people who actually make a living off of Kindle. I mean, look at what's her name, the Bella Forest.
Yeah.
You know,
At
she
first, I
her
thought you were
writing.
talking about her.
No, Bella For. I mean, Bella Forest gets kind of hot, but she doesn't get like literotica. Like, this is like bad
No.
literotica. Like,
Okay.
she had to rape a thesaurus to find out how many ways you can say penis bad. It's so great.
Whoa.
It's like really great. It's really fucking bad. And I'm sorry I used like rape in that connotation. I probably insulted someone. It's just I can't think of any other way to say that you violated a thesaurus.
Oh my god.
There, okay. Anyway, enough of that tangent. Enough of that tangent of our guilty
Okay.
pleasure books. Oh my god, we're so bad. But we're so
I can't imagine.
it's so bad. But it's like, it's one of those author books on Amazon where the person's like, I'm gonna be an author, so I'm gonna post on Amazon, and they're not like a Bella Forest. They're not treating it like a job. They're like, I'm gonna write this, not read it. There are so many spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes that could easily have been
What?
fixed from one reread. And I know this because I tend to reread this book like at least once a year, and it's fucking hilarious. I'll tell you what it is when we're done. I promise I'll tell you what it
Okay.
is. But it's just
I'm curious.
it's a fast read. You can read it in like 2 hours, and it's great.
Okay.
So
All right.
anyway, back to Throne of Glass.
Yeah. Okay, so
God.
I want to say, like, one of the good things about that book
Mm-hmm.
for me is that it has a nice pace for light reading. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, you know
Because
what? I will say that too. I mean, I bet you it has a slow start, but it is very much a light read.
yeah, and it's a page turner.
Until the fantasy chunk happens, because that's when it hooked me. Was
Okay.
I felt like I would be able to, like, you know, sit back, read a couple chapters, and then put it down for a bit and not feel like bad. I'd be like, oh, okay,
Oh
this is
no!
getting good.
At some point, I wasn't able to put it down. Like one night this week, I went to sleep. It was past midnight, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna so regret this in the morning."
Oh, I've done that. I did that last night
But
when I was trying to finish it, because that's when I was like, oh crap, I'm almost done. I'm just gonna read through this.
I was at the part with the Ritterak, and I didn't want to have nightmares because of it. And I was like, "Oh, I have to
Okay,
go."
can you
I have to go
describe the
through that.
Ritterak? Because I kept going back and back, and I'm like, I'm getting this weird amalgamation of things. What did you see the Ritterak as?
Okay, it's kind of it's supposed to be a
Oh, okay.
human
Wait,
shape.
I just realized we probably should explain. Okay, so
Oh,
since people who haven't read what we're talking about, there is a chunk, like I said, when the fantasy happens, so there is magic. It's not in the way we're used to, which I also liked. I liked the word marks and words. So this creature is kind of summoned, and you find out
from
that's
another
a part.
realm.
Yeah, and you find out that's a part of the whole murder mystery thing.
Yeah.
It's this thing going around, which is why no one understands why the people are dying. So that's what we're talking about. There isn't, like, just don't expect to be like, oh, they're talking about this Ritterak thing. Oh, I can't wait for it to come up. It shows up at the end of the book. So, like,
Yeah.
it's a monster at the end that shows up. So go ahead.
So yeah, how they describe it is that when Cain summons it, it's surrounded by blackness, and it looks like human hunched over, and it has limbs, and their arms, I guess, are like bent in the wrong way, and
Yeah, they have like swan knees, or not swan knees, like flamingo knees, but in their arms.
yeah, and they have those jutting in ginormous teeth. I'm not even sure they can chew something the way to
Okay, so
describe
I
it.
was semi right on that. I kept
Yeah.
going back because I literally had to go back when the red rack showed up, and I was like, "Are you a dog creature or a human creature?" Because that where I got confused was the human torso part. Because I got the teeth, I got the claws, and I know it like since it was all like twitchy and
Hold on.
walking
I
weird.
just I just googled it because I'm
You just
kind of
googled a
curious
red
how.
rack.
Holy crap!
Is there a picture of it?
Well, there's fan art, and well, it's pretty different from.
Person to person.
Okay, there's one. I'm gonna send it to you. There's
Okay. I mean,
there's one
the
image that
people who
looks
are listening are
exactly.
gonna Google Red Rack and you'll see what we're talking about because they're not gonna be able to see it.
Hold on. Well, or maybe you could put it up
Let's see. Yeah,
uh,
maybe I could.
in the video.
Yeah, let me
Okay,
see.
so that's
Okay, so
pretty
that's more
much
of what
how
I
I
thought it was.
imagined it.
That's how I thought it
But
was. Okay, so we were both
but
kind of right then.
imagine the teeth being way longer than that and very acerated. That's
Yeah,
how I saw
yeah,
it, and maybe some hair on the back, a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
That's how I saw it. Yeah,
No, that makes a lot of sense. You find out that Kane was it under the king that he was using the word marks? I forgot. Like, or did they just not
yeah. It
explain
was
how?
well, it was under Duke Parrington, but the king is obviously
Yeah, he's in on
in
it.
on it because Duke Parrington has that ring. Kane
Yeah.
has it, and the king has it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the king's been disappearing somewhere
Yeah.
with an army, and he comes back without the
Yeah, with
army,
no one.
and nobody questions
Yeah.
that.
Okay, see, that's one of the nitpicks I have. There are a lot of questions like that are just kind of there, and you find out about that later on, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to get an answer. And because it's going to be a big series, you don't get an answer
The
in this
answer is
book.
going to be in another book.
Yeah. That's something I feel like she got better with Akatar. I know I'm comparing it a lot, but it's written by the same author, so I think it's okay to compare it. Is
Yeah.
that I felt like the first book was much more. I felt like it was a standalone. Like, it could be a standalone. Like, if you never read any of the other books, you would be happy with how it ended. Because it actually,
Okay.
there was still some mystery, and I always feel like there should be some mystery. I'm not a person who's like, oh, everything needs to be answered, but there are a fuck ton of questions in Throne of Glass. Like, there's a lot. A
Yeah.
lot. That's where it was kind of getting annoying to me, where I was like, I want to read more just to find out what happens, but I was like, again, in Throne of Glass, or not Throne of Glass, in Court of Thorns and Roses, there's like there's a beginning, they talk about the threat happens, they win, and then they're kind of with the aftermath, and they're kind of happily ever after, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I say kind of because Akatar is also a, I don't want to say it like this, but she says it like this. It's a very, very loose Beauty and the Beast retelling, but
Okay.
it's not in the sense a lot of people think about. And I'll talk about more of that in my normal review. I'll do that on my own, like a
Okay.
little like book review video thing. But yeah, is so it has like a happy-ish ending. But then the second
Okay.
book comes out, and again, it's a very open to close, but it doesn't end on a happy ending, which is okay in my book because at least I still had like, even though I was mad and I was upset, I felt like I can wait for the next book because I felt like this chunk of their life is done.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? With Throne of Glass, I feel like it's just starting. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
we didn't get much closer, which again,
Oh,
for yeah.
I was pissed at the end because it was like, oh, I need the next one now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is the nitpick in my book, is I feel like not every book, yeah, obviously, like, if you're gonna pick up Harry Potter, like, the Half-Blood Prince, and you've never read a Harry Potter book or seen a Harry Potter movie, you're gonna be confused as shit. But
Yeah.
I feel like with a starting book, you should have a little bit more of an ending.
So some kind of closure,
Yeah, I felt like there really wasn't closure in this.
aside from the fact that she became the champion
Yeah, she became the
and
champion. She ends up staying friends with the two guys that she kind of had feelings for. But, you know, no one ends up being... They don't fall into that stupid female trope of the, I'm gonna be with two guys, and the guys are just gonna be chill with it. That's something I've always bothered me in YA, when they'll be like, they'll have the love triangle thing, and the both dudes are just kind of okay with it. I'm like, nah, bitch, you pick one of us. Like, I don't care if we're friends or brothers, you pick one. Unless you're into a polyamorous relationship and everyone's okay with it. Then,
Yeah.
like, because that's... But you know what I mean? Because I'll read that in a lot of books where the girl can be, like, indecisive, and I'm kind of like, I would be really upset if it was the opposite. Like, if I found out that Cody was dating somebody, and be like, I just can't choose between you or her, and I'd be like, well, bye! Like, I'm sorry, like, again, if you're
Yeah,
cool...
I've never been in a situation... Well, hold on. Okay. No, I've been in a situation where, at this almost the same time, 3 people told me that they were in love with me, but I was in love with one person.
Yeah.
Whom didn't confide, like, okay, the 3 people that told me that they were in love with me didn't know that I was in love with the other person that wasn't part of the 3.
But I think that's a little different. You didn't date
Yeah.
all 3 of those people and then lead all 3 of those people on. So that's I think that's different. But I understand what you're trying to say, but I think that is different in that just there's that big YA trope of that, and then they always end up with the person that they started crushing on first.
Well, yeah.
In stories,
there's
at least.
that. But I mean, let's say if 2 guys were to give me so much attention, and I mean, I guess I could develop some feelings for them. But I'm pretty sure one would win over the other pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't know. Yeah, that's some part that I don't really get, but I'm like, okay, if maybe other people go through that and they can empathize with that. I don't know.
All right. Okay, I think we should talk about a couple more things we liked. So a couple things I liked was, even though I bitched about the jealous court jester chick, the stupid Caltaine, everybody else in the story actually felt like a person. That's something I really like, because there will be even side characters that feel like actual people with, like, families and histories.
Like Nox.
Yeah, like Nox.
That guy who ran away.
Yeah, because, like Nox, like the really nice maid lady that was really nice to Selena. The just random guards that didn't even have a name. They were written very realistic, and I feel like that's something a lot of people take for granted, is they'll try to be like, well, my character needs to be this trope, so I'm going to stick them in this trope. I felt like every character was a person.
Yeah.
You know? And that's something I really liked. Another thing I really liked was how much, we already talked about the world building, but I also liked the culture building she did. That's something else a lot of people don't touch on, is because the character Val is cosplaying in our little picture is Nehemia, and she is the princess of... Crap, I forget the name of the land.
Yeah, the kingdom of Elway.
Yeah, of Elway, which is like... I don't want to say, like, tribal, because it's not, but it's more
it's in a warm, sunny,
it's
deserty...
in a warm, like, deserty kind of continent, and they talk about accents. They actually bring up, which is something I always kind of hated this trope in a lot of other books, that, like, Nehemia doesn't really speak a lot of common, or not Elway, because she was surprised that Selena could speak Elway. Elway's her language. Yeah. So, like, she didn't know a lot of the common tongue, and she didn't really have a translator, so there was a lot of accents there. There were a lot of cultural differences there that also it wasn't shoving down your throat. It felt very realistic, because in the time it is set, you would have people from other countries coming to these big events for political reasons and for intrigue. And so I felt like that was very realistic and original, that the culture they talked about.
And the fact that she's there on behalf of her family, because
she's the princess.
They're at war
with each other. Yeah, she's there as like a peace offering kind of thing. And the best part is she's not there to like marry Dorian like they do with a lot of other things. They're like, we'll make peace, I'll send my first son to marry your first daughter kind of thing. Like, she's there to be like a peacekeeper.
I mean, it could have happened, but Dorian is...
But I'm happy it didn't happen.
Well, either of them are interested in the other.
Yeah.
Like at some point, Nehemia says, "Okay, he's not so much of a douche."
I know,
But
I
that's
know.
it. Like,
But
they
I, but
can be
I,
friends.
but I mean, I feel like that would be something that like his dad would have tried to do. You know what I mean? Like Dorian's father, the king, would have tried to do. He would be like,
Oh,
"You're gonna marry Nehemia because that's what political people do," and they
ah,
didn't have that in there, which I
yeah,
liked.
but I feel like that's not something that King would do. By the way, the King doesn't have a name
Yeah, he doesn't
yet.
have a name. That's one
No,
nitpick. Everyone else has a name except the king. They just say it's the King of Otterland. And even
it's King
Dorian, to his own
Villiard.
dad and his mom, because it's also the Queen of Otterland. Dorian's parents, I guess, don't have names. Because they don't even, they're like, oh, it's my husband, the King of Otterland. I'm like, you're not going to say his name? You know, I want
Nope.
him to have, like, the most stupidest name. Like, something like, my name's Frank. Frank Otterland. You know what I mean? Or
Of
something stupid. Like,
course.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't. Well, I'm looking real fast, but I don't think they
Don't get a
ever
spoiler
name him.
though. Yeah, that at least in the first book, he is literally the King of Otterland. That's it.
Yep.
And that's one nitpick I have because even like I said, even like maids have names. I just can't remember them right now. Like they give names to like side characters, but this big bad king is the King of Otterland.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a nitpick. Another positive thing I really liked, and this is towards the end, because like I said, the fantasy stuff doesn't happen till much later. They use fey magic and not normal magic,
Oh yeah.
which
And
is a nice touch.
the word and word marks, they feel like runes. You know?
I think they're runes. I think they're supposed to be runes, but in that world they don't know how to call it runes, so they're word marks.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I like, and that's another thing. If like I said, I'm a Sarah J. Maas fan. She very much, very, very much loves Fae. And she talks about classic Fae, not just elves and like pixies,
Yeah.
but like the monsters of Fae, the cultures of Fae, Fae magic. So it's for me it was a breath of fresh air. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's see, I think that's almost everything
Uh,
to
yeah.
say. Oh wait, there is one thing I should bring up. This is my own little test, and I know people are probably gonna get really fucking pissed off when I say this, but to me, it didn't pass the pass test, and people will be wondering what that is. And that is, I'm not gonna lie, towards the end I skimmed a couple paragraphs. I didn't read much of it, and I was able to follow along just fine.
Oh.
I know it sounds really bad, and people are gonna get mad, but towards the end, I just really wanted to figure out what was going on. So I was like, I didn't do this before, but towards the end, I literally was like reading and skimming it, and then interesting stuff happened, and I didn't feel lost at all.
Okay.
So I think that's also a big thing for me why I gave it 3.5 stars was it didn't pass that, and that's just me. That's just me, and people are probably like,
I never actually tried to do that.
I
I mean, I would when I reread a story. Like, if there's a part that I don't want to read, or I know
well
that I
exactly
can
if
skip
you've
ahead.
read it, but this is my first time reading Throne of Glass, so that's
Okay.
and here's the thing, I don't do this often. I don't. But if there's a point where I can kind of feel, like I kind of explained, I can feel the fluff coming, I'll skim some parts, and if I'm confused, I'll go back and read it. But
Okay.
sometimes I'll be like, I didn't do this with this, but I have done this in the past where I have actually been able to skim like chapters and not be lost in a story.
What?
Yeah, there's certain books I've read that I've really liked, but I was able to skim chapters and not be lost at all. And I was like completely
Holy
able to
crap.
follow along, and I was not lost, and I was able to get to and from just fine. And I feel like that's bad on the author. But again, for Sarah J. Maas, for me, I didn't do that until the end. But I feel like that's because like they had spent so much time describing everything. I kind of got it, and again, I was like, let's see if I can skim this, and if I'm lost, I'll go back. But I wasn't lost, and I was able to stay along great, and yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, that's interesting. I
like
mean,
I said, I'm weird.
I don't think I would be able to do that. Either I'm going to read through, or I don't want to finish it. But like in the middle, I don't know.
I
I've
got
got the attention span of a squirrel, so I need to know the details.
Yeah, but no, that makes sense. Like I said, I don't do it often, but there'll be times where I feel like it's fluff that could have been cut out. And by
Okay.
that, I'm not saying I probably am. People are like, wow, Michelle, you must like really boring or really extreme actiony books. I don't. There are some books that are very nice and slow paced and evenly done, but I feel like there are a lot of things authors throw in there to fluff pages that if they're important, then they'll show up later, but it's, I forget what the actual rule of thumb is, but there's something where, like, and this is like a real author's rule of thumb. If in, like, the first chapter or the prologue, they mention this, like, I think it's called, like, something sword. Let's say they mention a plaque, and the sword on this plaque, right?
Mm-hmm.
The sword and that plaque need to come up at some other point in the story, or else it's not important, and you did not need that detail in there.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of the, I don't know what the actual name of the rule is. I'll try to look it up and I'll boop it on screen.
But I know what you're talking about.
But that's like a rule of thumb for a lot of authors. If it's not important, don't write about it.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it. I think that's a good way to end off our first little podcast. We're just under 60 minutes, so...
Just under.
Well, trust me, I've seen podcasts go for like 3 hours, so I'm kind of like happy our first one's in this range.
Well,
so,
I'm kind of used to ones who are about an hour.
About an hour, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is probably going to be our longest one yet because of the fact that we're
noobs.
Wait. Besides we're noobs, we didn't say our theories for what's going to happen in the in what we think might happen in the future.
Oh.
Do you want to, or do you not want to do that? Do you have any theories or no?
I will refrain for now because there's so much potential.
Okay.
But like, yeah, maybe if we do talk about the other books at some point, maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing the other books. I feel like I don't want to do another Sarah J. Maas book right now.
Sure.
Because again, I love her, but I'm already rereading ACOTAR, and then
further along the road.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, I know it must sound like we did not like this book. We did enjoy it, but we had to pull it apart and talk about it because that's the point of this podcast. Is just us being, dumbasses. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening.
Subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Comment below. Free raffle. No.
No, but seriously, if you guys have questions or if you have suggestions about how we should do this, go ahead.
Yeah, we are completely open to suggestion and constructive criticism. Because again, this is our first time doing this. So, I hope you guys enjoyed our little random rambles, and we will see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye!